Hello, everyone.
Hey, testing. Can you guys hear us? Yeah,
Awesome.
okay.
I see someone with a HAIM shirt right there. Shout out.
Round of applause.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is David Brick, and I am the president and co-founder of Mike at UCLA, and I'll be your host for tonight. Thank you.
Round of applause. My name is Alan. I'm vice president of the Music Industry Committee and co-founder, and I'll be helping around tonight.
Welcome. Yes. So for those of you wondering why we have the same last name and we look alike, it's because we're brothers. You didn't know that?
We are.
So, welcome to Office Hours, everyone. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Are you guys excited? Well, for all those who don't know, the Music Industry Committee is the first and only student group at UCLA dedicated to the business of music. And our goal is to help you guys understand, explore, network, and break into the music industry with free events and opportunities just like this one.
And an essential part of our programming is the Office Hours series, which you guys are here for today, where we bring some of the biggest artists in the world to come to UCLA, especially the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music, to talk about the industry. So instead of hosting Office Hours with professors or TA, we host them with artists. Yeah. So in the past, we've hosted artists such as Cascade and ASAP Rocky, Machine Gun Kelly.
Noticed, they've signed stuff here.
They signed the board for us. And today we have a very special guest joining us.
Yeah, wait, but before we actually get into our guests, we want to give a big thank you to the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music and the Music Industry Committee team who are around here and have helped us and supported us throughout the entire process.
Yes, round of applause for them, guys, please. Round of applause. They deserve it. And also, before starting, don't forget to follow our social media accounts, Mike at UCLA, so that's at MICATUCLA. That was long. And just to get a behind-the-scenes look at tonight's event, and then also to stay up to date with future announcements, because we have many great events coming up, too.
So can we get back to business?
Back to business.
Okay, cool. So as we mentioned, we have a great guest tonight because she is, wait for it, the first female guest of the Office Hour series.
Round of applause for that.
Oh, yeah.
Round of applause. We're going to talk about that in the conversation, but truly our guest doesn't need an introduction. But just in case you don't know who she is, which is very unlikely, I will give you guys a few facts about her. So she is part of one of the biggest bands in the world called HAIM with her sisters Alana and Danielle. She's performed some of the biggest events in the world, including Coachella, Glastonbury. She even appeared on SNL. When you appear on SNL, you know you've made it. So we'll talk about that. And also, she's been nominated for a Grammy. I don't think many of us can say that, right? And she is here tonight to talk about the music industry and her path in the industry and her time at UCLA. So now, without further ado, please give a huge welcome to the one
and only,
the only, ESTE
HAIM.
For me, I'm the luckiest girl in the world to be sandwiched in between these two babes.
I like that.
Right? And they're brothers. I obviously hate family.
We all hate family.
I hate family. Hi, guys. This is so surreal. This wasn't here when I was here. I graduated in 2010, and it was one of those things where, I was in class, and they were like, we're getting plans together to renovate the music building. And I was like, and I'm not going to be here for it. So awesome.
But now she's back, right?
Now I'm back. Yeah, this is crazy. I don't know if you can tell. I'm semi-nervous because this is very surreal for me. This is 2 years of my life I spent in this building and, making friends and sitting in classes and being like, why am I doing these papers? I love these lectures, but fuck these papers. Why am I doing a dissertation at 9:30 in the morning from 2 days ago and I'm still not sleeping? But yeah, this is pretty crazy, and I'm really happy to be here and talk to you guys about what it's like to be a woman in the industry and just to be in the industry. It's very surreal for me. So let's get it started.
Round of applause for her, guys. We're going to get started. And I think I speak on behalf of every single student when we say that we're more than excited to have you here. So thank you for coming. It's going to be a great conversation.
This is so cool. And it's also cool that I'm doing this sans Danielle and Alana.
Hi, Danielle and Alana.
Hi, Danielle and Alana. I know you're watching. I love you a lot, but it's solo dolo time. It's all about me now.
Forget the sisters.
Yeah. That's like 2045, like 45. Maybe we'll do an ESTE HAIM solo record.
Cool. We're down for it, yeah? We'll make it happen.
DJ Bed Bath and Beyonce on the ones and twos.
We'll make it happen.
Hire me.
We're all going to
Bar
buy
and
it.
bar mitzvahs, weddings. If anyone's getting married, I'm available for hire.
Awesome. So I think we can go ahead and start the conversation.
Great.
So just for you guys to know and for ESTE to know, the Office Hour series, we're hosting Office Hours, and we're going to go through your career. We're going to talk about your highlights, how you made it to where you are today, and then we'll grab and get some lessons from that, and hopefully you guys can understand the music industry a bit better. So like every journey, we're going to start the beginning. So
March 14th, 1986 was a
Wow.
great day.
Let's go the whole way there.
I'm sure my mom's in the audience. I'm sure she can tell you how fun it was to give birth to me. She was in labor for like 72 hours or something insane. I didn't want to come out. Let's see. I think I was in a very, very unique position as a kid in that I knew what I wanted to do, I think, from the time I opened my eyes for the first time. I knew that I wanted to like get me on a stage. That's literally, I was like, maybe, I don't know. I think I was always vying for attention. I was always trying to make people laugh. And then at 2 years old, my dad put me on the drums, literally from the time I could like hold my head up and could grasp a drumstick. My dad put me on a kit, and I'm very lucky in that sense. My dad was, he's a drum enthusiast. He didn't do it for a living, but he'd been playing drums since he was a kid too. And my dad made it a point, and I'm very lucky, he made it a point to teach us, all three of us, how to play drums. So I had almost had like an innate sense of rhythm. I wasn't like the jerk. I literally had rhythm from a very, very young age. So I'm lucky in that sense. And then as I grew older, I just realized I was like, I love being in front of people and entertaining. How can I make this like a thing I can do forever? And so it became my mom played guitar, and then my mom taught me how to play guitar. I quickly learned that guitar is not my instrument, because Danielle, who was 3 years my junior, literally was doing like Santana-esque like solos at 5 years old, and I was like, and so I knew probably not my journey. And I think that my father saw that I was like no longer ESTE but depressed-y at like literally at like 7 years old, like moping around like literally like Charlie Brown with like a cloud over its head. And my dad was like, I think his logic was, if guitar has 6 strings and it's difficult for my daughter, bass has 4 strings, must be easier. Not true. Not the case. And so my dad had this insatiable appetite for all things The Recycler. This is before Craigslist. So it was like a magazine that would come out every week, and you would put ads in it a la Craigslist. This is, again, I think pre-internet even. This is like 1995. And my dad would take these journeys with us.
I think some of the people in this room haven't been born by 1995, right?
I'm dating myself. Yeah, and it was almost like my dad would treat it like it was like a family activity. We would get in our minivan, in our Dodge minivan, and we would drive to like Barstow, to these like church yard sales, and they would be. I found my first bass guitar for $50. My dad, I don't know if you guys have like seen Selena, the movie. There are so many reminiscent scenes in that movie of my childhood. Like my dad taking instruments out of, like decrepit instruments out of a caravan, literally a page out of my life. Like that was something that was so normal to me. But it felt like a treasure hunt. And my dad also exposed me to Stop Making Sense at a really young age. It was almost like, and I think this is true for a lot of things, because I didn't see it. I was like, bass guitar, like what is that? Like what does that even look like? What is someone on stage playing a bass guitar that's a girl? Because everything that I'd seen up until that point was like dudes on stage wearing a guitar. I didn't see a lot of women playing bass at the time. Granted, I was also 8 years old. So my dad put on Stop Making Sense, and I saw Tina Weymouth playing bass, and I was like, oh my God, she is so cool. I want to be just like her. And so seeing that, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be that. I aspire to be that. And I think that's a very specific and true thread that's run through my life, is visualizing it or seeing it has inspired me to get me to where I am now, really. And so seeing that for me was integral into me being like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. She just looked like she was having so much fun. I mean, you watch Stop Making Sense and you're like this is the party that I wish I was invited to. So that was a very, very specific instance in my life where I was like, okay, I can see it. I know that I can do it. So, and also my dad, I think the other thing that my dad always instilled in me, and I'm very, very lucky, is that to do anything, you kind of have to, and at the time, my father is not from America, so he would say things like, you have to be a pizza oven. And at the time, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Like, what I have to, or he would say things like he'd sign off and just be like, Nike. And I would be like, Nike. And now I realize, like, oh, he was saying, just do it.
I prefer Nike. Let's make it Nike.
But, right, that's the sign off. That's the perpetual sign off now, from now on. And be a pizza oven. I was like, oh, because they never turn off. Oh, I get it. All right, you always have to be like learning and striving and, doing your best. And so I'm really lucky that I had that as well growing up. So and I love how this is so crazy, because Danielle and Alana usually are the ones that are like, I say something and then they chime in, and it's usually like we're very, very much talking over each other. So it feels nice to not have that, you guys.
You're missing the voices.
Oh my God. Clarity.
Danielle and Lana, no offense.
No offense. I still love you very, very much. Whatever. So, I mean, I could go into like specifics about like literally like every, I started playing bass when I was 8. And as an 8-year-old, again, it wasn't something that I really saw until I then got out of elementary school. And it was like everyone in my neighborhood played an instrument. So I was lucky enough that I got to play with both my parents and my sisters. Alana at the time was like 3, and she was playing like timbales, like the timbales were like at her eye level, and she was literally playing like this. When I look back at home videos, I'm just like who am I related to? Like, how is it's crazy. And I was lucky enough that I had my sisters to play music with at a very, very young age, and my parents. But we again we started this band. My dad woke up from a dream, a la Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And he like woke up my mom and basically was like, we're starting a band with the kids. I just had a dream about it. I'll play drums, you play guitar. We're going to do 5-part harmony. And my mom was like, whoa, 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 whoa. The kids are 8, 5, and 2. The kids can barely read. I think we need to take a beat. And my dad, he had this vision. Again, it's like you have to see it. I think that's been like a very, very big thing, I think, in my life, is you have to visualize it and see it and then believe in it and then do everything you can to make it happen. And I think that my dad also saw that and was like, we can do this. It's going to be fun. We'll do, my mom was like, where are we going to play? Who's going to hire us? Like, that's a band with the kids are gonna, we know no one. My parents were real estate agents. We didn't know. My parents didn't know how to book a gig. Like, my parents, like, we were Valleyites. I was born and raised in Studio City, and I was actually born in Tarzana, if anyone's from Tarzana. Can I get a what? Just saying.
I guess no one from Tarzana.
I guess no one, anyone? Is this mic on? Anybody? Is this thing working? No?
Going
okay.
once?
Going
Okay.
twice. Okay. So I basically just remember my parents being like, we got a gig at Cantor's Deli. And them just being like, we're playing at the Kipnis Room. And that was our first show. And we got paid. The whole thing is we got paid in matzo ball soup.
Delicious.
Delicious. I mean, nutritious. I was fine. I mean, I could take whatever I got,
Right.
I was just excited to be on stage. Like I said, I was like, get me up there. And so once that happened, then we started playing things like the Sherman Oaks Street Fair and big stages like the St. Francis de Sales Fair every April. I'll get to that because it was every April and all I wanted to do was go to Coachella. And my dad was like, we have a standing gig the weekend of Coachella every year, and I couldn't go. Standing gig.
And then she played Coachella, by the way.
And then I played Coachella, which is still to this day very, very surreal, and especially because I snuck in every year before I played. But we won't talk about that.
We don't. I think there's a few Golden Voice people
What
here
up, Golden
also,
Voice? They know this. You guys know that I talk about it all the time. I literally went to Kinko's and copied a pass and put a bunch of like bracelets around it and then flashed it. And for some reason, it was honestly like a dream. I was like, this isn't real. I mean, I can delve more into like.
Don't give anyone any
my
ideas.
hacker.
That's
Yeah.
I think we're good. We're good.
I hacked my way into Coachella.
This is turning into another conversation.
Yeah. We'll do that the next office hours.
Coachella version.
So essentially, as we grew up, we just were playing everywhere that would have us. I mean, all I wanted to do was play a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah or a wedding so I could have enough money to buy a car. No such luck. But I think that was like weirdly, I mean, I don't know how many people here have kind of, I always attribute this to like when the Beatles were in Hamburg and they had like their 10,000 hours of playing bars until 4 a.m. And that's kind of how they learned how to write songs. That was basically before coming to UCLA, my education in songwriting and musicianship, because I was doing it so often and I was learning, the classic, 1-4-5 and these amazing Motown songs and classic rock from the 70s. And I was learning them. This is also weirdly like pre-internet. My sisters and I would sit around the radio with a tape. Whew!
What
a
is
tape
that?
in the deck and listen to KRF 101 and wait for the song that we wanted to play.
Wow.
Or just songs in general. I was like, oh yeah, Proud Mary, record. And, then we would listen back to the songs and then transcribe them by ear.
Wow.
So and also like some of the lyrics that we came up with also were questionable. We thought we were hearing what we were hearing. Definitely nowhere close to what the lyrics actually were.
Happens to all of us.
So there's some funny videos of us literally butchering like our way through like every Billy Joel song.
Can we see those?
I mean, you guys, get me talking a little longer, and I'll be like, yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, I'll put it on the internet. So that's kind of how we learned. That was the very, very beginning of us kind of learning how to write songs and what a verse sounds like, what a chorus sounds like, what a pre sounds like, what a bridge sounds like, the difference between all three of them. And like, no, this sounds, I mean, we still go through this today. I'm like, man, no, that sounds more like a pre. And Dean will be like, that sounds like a bridge. And Alana will be like, it might be a chorus. And then, and then the proof is in the pudding and we try each one. And we vote. It's a very democratic situation songwriting-wise in the HAIM household. So that's basically what we did, and we did it. We did Rockenheim pretty much up until we got signed. It was something that we.
By the way, that was the name of the band, Rockenheim.
Oh, Rockenheim,
Yeah.
no G, Rockenheim. So yeah, we did it every year. All the gigs that we played when we were kids in the 90s up until 2012, we still were doing things for charity. And I think that I look back on it now and I'm like, oh my God, that was, it's such a great time in my life. Of course, when you're 13 and you want to hang out with your friends in a mall and you have to be like, sorry guys, like I got to go rehearse with my parents. It's not really like the coolest thing, and I also weirdly grew up thinking that every family was a family band. It's a very like weird thing when like you're 10 years old and you're like, oh, so when do your parents rehearse with you? And they're like, you mean like when do my parents drop me off at Mommy and Me? Like, is that what you're talking about? And, then you're like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't normal. Okay. But yeah, so I was in a band with my family for a very, very long time. And then also during that time, like I said, a lot of my friends ended up picking up instruments and had started becoming interested in music. And so then I would go to these jam sessions in my neighborhood, your quintessential like garage rock situation. And I was almost unequivocally always the only girl. And my sisters and I talk about this all the time. It's like, it was a very strange thing for us because I had a father who basically was like, you can do anything you fucking put your mind to, and as long as you work at it and you put in the hours and, you're passionate about it, people are going to accept you. That's basically what my father instilled in me. As long as there's hard work, eventually people are going to pay attention to you and accept you. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case as a 13-year-old ESTE HAIM. And I would go to these jam sessions in my neighborhood, and I would always get skipped over, and I would see the male bass player playing, and I would be like, I'm fucking better than this fool. I don't get it. Why aren't they letting me tap in? And I remember just being like, this needs to change. I don't know when and I don't know how, but it needs to change. I'm just as good at playing bass as this fool, if not better at the time. Alex Schneiderman, if you're listening.
Take that, Alex.
Alex Schneiderman. We're friends now. I can say that shit.
Fans are gonna like Google him.
Yeah,
and
like
harass
Alex
him.
Schneiderman. No, he's great. Don't harass him. He's great. At the time, at 13, kind of a little shit. But we won't go that far. So I just remember at 13 being like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it better, and I'm going to do it with more passion, and I'm going to do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it with Danielle and Alana. I don't really know how that's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know that I want to play music with my sisters because I know that when we're together and we play together, something magical happens, and there's a magical synergy that my sisters and I have together. And I think, and it was a feeling that I wanted to have all the time. So at 13 was kind of like this very interesting time for me. And it was also when I remember turning on K-Rock and hearing, I'll never forget, I heard, oh my God, I'm really letting my freak flag fly here. I remember hearing Korn and Limp Bizkit and Orgy and being like, this is the music I want to make. The times they have changed, y'all. But at the time, that was what I was like, oh, this is the I was listening to K-Rock, I was listening to rock music, but simultaneously listening to things like the Spice Girls. And it was a very interesting time for me because I would literally go to middle school and dressed head to toe in your garden variety version of a Hot Topic girl, and then come back to my house, and Danielle Lawn and I would be playing Destiny's Child and TLC and the Spice Girls, and be like, I was like, oh, I'm Ginger, and Danielle would be like, I'm Posh, and Alana would be like, I'm Baby, and just it all weirdly kind of worked out. And so after that, I think my sisters and I, we let's fast forward a little bit. Let's fast forward to like 2000. I'm sorry, I'm like not even letting you talk. Give me a mic.
You're making it
Give
easy.
the girl
It's good.
a mic.
It's good. It's good. Don't worry.
I guess we can talk about kind of what happened after I graduated high school. I ended up actually going to the LA County High School for the Arts in downtown LA. And I was actually not a music major. At the time, I was like, this music thing, I got this in the bag. I can play bass. I can play circles around everyone. And the thing that I think that I've always done kind of is, if I feel like I know something, if I'm going to go to school for it, it needs to be something that I don't know about. So I didn't really know about the theater. And I ended up spending 4 years at LACHSA for doing theater. And funny story, my freshman year at LACHSA, I was doing a scene, and at the time, all I wanted to do was be on Saturday Night Live. That was my dream. I was like, I want to be Gilda Radner. I want to be Molly Shannon. I want to be Sherry O'Terry. I want to be Maya Rudolph. And so I ended up doing this scene, and everyone around me kind of knew that like that's what I wanted to do. And I'm sitting after the scene, and your teacher's supposed to critique you. And my teacher at the time looked me dead in the eye and was like, ESTE, I see you, and I see what you're trying to do. You will never be on SNL. It's like it's not in your wheelhouse. I know, right? She's like, I see what you're trying to do. Basically, she was like, you're super try hard, which is basically what she was saying to me. As a 14-year-old girl, that's not really something that you say to them. So I did the whole thing where the class ended. I ran to the bathroom. I was bawling. I looked in the mirror and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not my journey. Maybe it's just time to put that baby to bed and figure something else out. And in a weird way, it was great, because at the time I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to focus on music, because it's another passion of mine. I love playing music. I love playing bass. I love singing. Maybe that's what I need to do. And from then on, so from 13 to like 14, I was like, I'm going to try this acting thing. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to switch. And so I started focusing on music, and all through high school, I was doing theater, but I was also playing music with my sisters. And all through high school, I knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to do music. I just had to figure out how. I didn't have parents in the industry. I didn't have a connection to anything in the industry. All I knew was that I had this passion for it, and that nothing was going to get in my way. I think that was definitely one thing that I've felt for a very, very long time. It was always this thing. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm not worried about getting there. And I think that's something that is so important, is sometimes we get really scared. And even now, even today, I get so scared and so nervous. And I think about, what we want to do and where we want to go. My sisters and I are so incredibly passionate about music and making it good, and just trying to make the best thing possible and doing it in an integral way. And I think that that's always been something that we strive to do. And then even as a 14-year-old, I was like, I know that I want to do all those things, but how do I do it? How do I make it happen? I was literally like, put me in a room. Get me to that room. I don't know how to get to that room, but I know once you get me in that room, I know that I can fucking do it. And I know that I'm good at it, and I know that I can make not only myself like proud and happy, but I know that, and again, I was like, I just really want to make my parents proud because I know that they really believe in me too. So cut to, and I know you wanted to talk about this. I'm going to touch on this.
Yeah.
Because it's an anecdote that I think is important.
Yep.
But it's semi-embarrassing. So in 2003, my sisters and I were doing, we were doing a show with my parents, Rockenheim, at the Sherman Oaks Street Fair. And like this guy came up to us and was like, I'm putting together a band with a bunch of girls. Do you want to be in it? It was literally like something out of a movie. A guy with like a cigar and like a big pen and a contract was like, sign here and make your dreams come true. And, of course, because like I said, it was like, get me in the room. Just get me in the room. I know that I meant to tour and write songs and see the world with my sisters. Just tell me where I need to go. And so we signed a contract. We signed a deal with Columbia Records in 2004. I was 17 years old. It was Danielle and I, and it was a band called the Valley Girls.
Valley, V-A-L-L-I.
Super duper cool. We were so cool. And it was basically a band of girls that all played instruments. The problem was, innately, once we started the project, I was like, wait a minute, I'm not going to be able to write my own songs. And they were like, yeah, no, we're going to give you the songs, you're going to play them, you're going to record them, and we're done. And this thing inside me was like, this is so wrong. This isn't what I want to do. I want to be able to write the music. I want to be able to produce the music. I know how I want it to sound. I know how I want to look. I know what I want to say. And someone was spoon feeding me everything. And I knew that wasn't what I wanted. I knew it was what I didn't want. I knew what I wanted, but I knew that's definitely not what I want. So that was a very important lesson that my sisters and I went through, in that we knew because of that, we wanted to be able to do everything and have our hand in everything, every aspect of everything, because not having that control was like drowning. I can't even tell you what it felt like. It literally felt like my hands were above me and I was grasping for help. I was like, what? I was like, I know exactly what I want to say and I know how I want to say it, but my head is being pushed down. And people were just telling me like, no, this is what you signed up to do. You signed this contract and that's it. So my sisters and I spent the next 2 years getting out of that. Thankfully we did. And then from then on, we just kind of hit the ground running and we were like, okay, so we need songs, is basically what it was. We need to write songs. And so we did. We wrote every day from the time Danielle had just graduated high school. So Danielle was 18. Alana had just started, so she was 15. I was at the ripe old age of 21, working at the Cheesecake Factory. I know every fucker in here has been to the Cheesecake Factory.
Don't deny it.
Don't deny it. I was a waitress. I was a hostess. I was great at memorizing things. I was working, and Danielle, Alana, and I essentially just kept our heads down and just wrote. And I think at that point in our career, this was the MySpace era. Anyone remember MySpace? So the big thing was to get a gig anywhere, you had to have recorded music as your calling card. And I just remember like writing these songs and then recording them on our own, but like using I don't even know if we were using GarageBand. We were like using like a pirated version of something that we had on our computer, and then also having friends record us, like friends that had like Ableton or whatever. And then making those recordings, listening back and being like, that's not what we want this to sound like. And I knew what I wanted it to sound like. I just didn't have the ability to do it. I didn't have the ability to take what was in my brain, go on the computer, or put the mics in the right way. And I knew that I was capable. I just didn't have the education. So that's another thing that I want to touch on, is that it is so important to be able to do all of it, not just play the music, not just write the music, not just be a lyricist, not just be coming up with melodies. You need to be able to learn and know how to record yourself, how to engineer at a very basic level even. I think that it's so important to have it be all from you.
You need to diversify.
You need to be able to, I mean, it sounds so almost like elementary when I say it, but it's so important. I know Joni Mitchell, there was a quote that she said where she was basically like, if you're not writing, recording, producing, engineering it yourself, it's not really you. I truly do believe that that's true. I think that my sisters and I, through the recording process from 2007 all the way up to 2012 when we put out our first EP, that was the biggest thing with us, is we were like, we know what we want. We know how we want it to sound. We would watch like the Tom Petty documentary, which I also know pretty much everyone in here has seen. And if they haven't, learn from this documentary. You see them in the room and they're just looking at each other and they're playing the song live in the room. And then you'd hear the song and you'd be like, how did they do this? They're literally just looking at each other and it comes out like that. So we assumed, oh, that happens for everyone. Not the case. When you have someone like Jimmy Iovine producing and engineering your record, that's what it sounds like. So we quickly learned that is kind of what happens. You need to be able to do all of it. You need to learn how to be a producer. You need to learn how to be an engineer, even at a very basic level. And that's also, again, why when I was at UCLA, I was like, where's the Pro Tools station? I want to learn how to use Pro Tools. And it wasn't available yet. So I'm so glad that you guys have recording studios here now, because it's so important. And that's literally, I was like, I would take that class. David?
Yeah, I took it.
Well, there you go. It's so important.
It is.
And also, as a woman, too, I can't even tell you how many times I go into studios and I don't even see one girl working there. Not one. It's so frustrating to go into a studio and not, like, I literally am like in a, and look, I love men. I love you all so much. But I'm just saying, as a woman, it would be really nice to hear, oh, Rebecca is your engineer. I've never had a female engineer ever work on anything that we've done. And in a studio where it's not our session, we make it a big, big, big priority anytime we can to hire females in the studio, on tour, doing lighting, doing the recording. You know, and I think that that's also something that...
I was going to say, round of applause for that.
So I think that that's... And again, it's because... I have to believe that because we don't necessarily see it, that girls, young women, don't necessarily think that it's possible. And I think that is a very big problem. And so if I have anything to do with it, that's all I want to do is see more women. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be around women that are their own producers or co-produce. Grimes is a really, really good example. Claire writes, records, produces everything. Solange, the magical wizardress that is Solange, the light of my life. Like I just being around her. If I even know that she's in the vicinity, I feel like I can't even breathe because I'm so overwhelmed with how much I love her. that to me is inspiring. And I mean, and again, when I meet other women that are lighting designers or, working the rig, it makes me so genuinely happy. And so I know that it's out there. It's just there's not enough of it. And that needs to change. So, like I said, if you guys have any aspirations to do anything in the industry at all, and you know that you want to do it, but you're feeling trepidatious about it, or you're like, I don't know, I'm gonna make the opportunity, or what do I need to do to get the opportunity? You have to be diligent, and even when someone says no, you have to keep on trying. That's the other thing. I can't even tell you how many times from 2007 to 2012 no one wanted to book us. I will say that unequivocally. No one wanted to book my sisters and I. Everyone was like, I don't get it. We didn't really have a good recording. People were like, oh, like, your sisters, like, it's cute. That was literally, I was like, it's cute. And I was like, I will fucking murder you. If I hear that one more goddamn time.
I think it's important for everyone, to get out of that, never stop. Right? Never stop.
100%.
Even if anyone says no.
If I had stopped in 2007 when people were like, I can't even tell you when people were like, maybe you should just be a touring musician. Like, you're a great bass player. Like, go on tour with someone. I was like, get fuck yourself. Like, that's not what I want to do. My sister actually, Danielle, ended up, funny story. She basically, we were at this house party and we started jamming at the house party, and someone saw Danielle play drums and basically was like, do you want to come on tour? And Danielle was 19 at the time. And Danielle was like, obviously, yeah, I want to go on tour. None of us had ever been on tour. And Danielle ended up going on that tour, and it basically led her to being in Julian Casablancas from The Strokes, being in his band, and he took her to Japan. And this is also while I was at UCLA, and I got a call from Danielle that was like, I'm just in, Shibuya, as you do. I'm in Japan playing with Julian Casablancas, and I was in finals, and I was like, I love you so much, but please shut up. Just stop talking. Like, it's 4 a.m. here, and I have a final in 3 hours. Like, this is... and then after that, I think it was one of those things where, like, Danielle would come back from tour, and it would be like a scene from Waterworld, where she was like, there is dry land. Like, there is something outside of Los Angeles. Like, the world is huge. And Alana and I would be, like, sitting at her feet, like, tell us about the world, Danielle. Please, what is it like in Germany? Like, and her just like, sit, children, as I tell you this tale. And, it was like she was kind of our lens as to like what else was out there. And if anything, it just lit this fire under our asses where we were like, we need to do this. How much fun would it be? It was like our evil plan. Like, we get to see the world. We get to be together. We get to make music and tour it. How do we do that?
Where do I sign up? Let's make it happen.
Right? I mean, we were like, it was one of those things where like there were so many times we would also get like so close. Like, this A&R would call me or something. Or not even call me. He would like find me on MySpace, and he'd be like, saw your show. I mean, I keep making it sound like they're like these like old timey 1920s, like, hello my baby, hello my honey. Like, no, like they were like normal human beings. But yeah, like oh my God, they'd like find us on MySpace, and they'd be like, how about I give you like X amount of dollars, and like I give you money to like record a song, but you give me all the publishing, and I have you for 5 years, and like I give you 3 pesos to do it.
Nope.
And at the time when you're like, again, working at the Cheesecake Factory, and you literally have not even 3 pesos, you have like half a peso. And someone from a big label comes to you and says that, they want to try something, it's also really hard to be like, no, I know my worth and I know that I deserve more than this, so I'm not going to do it. So it's a balance. It's like, yes, opportunity will knock and it'll be presented to you, but you also have to know your worth and know what you bring to the table in order to wait for the right thing to come along also. So we waited too. There were, for every person that we would send demos to someone, it went like very old school style, because that's all I knew. Or we would, we'd play a show at the Satellite and someone would come up to us and just be like, great job. And we'd be like, so are we, you have a meeting, or you want to like, get me in the room? And it would just be like, we'll be in touch. And then no one would follow up. So it was a lot of hearing no, but then also being presented with really shitty things and having to be the one to say no. So long story short, I don't even know how we got, sorry, this is like a long-winded way of saying, finally, my sisters and I, on a very, very chilly night in Los Angeles, we were playing a show at Teddy's. I don't even know if they do shows there anymore. Whew. And this guy ended up being there who he did all the music for a show called Community. And he's one half of the band Childish Gambino, which at the time I was like, Childish Gambino, I don't know what it is. But then I was like, oh my God, Donald Glover, I love him. I met him at the show, and it was one of those things where he was just like, and this is another thing I think is a very, very important life lesson, is you never know when you meet someone what it's going to lead to. I think it's really important to never really say no to the opportunity to be creative with someone. I also think that you guys are in such an amazing position in that you're in a school where I know for a fact there are people that all want to be producers and are songwriters, but they don't necessarily, I know there's like producers here, they're like, all I need is like, I need an artist to like sing for me so I can practice being a producer and practice what it's like, dialing in vocals and moving mics. And I think that it's so important to say yes when someone comes up to you and goes, anything from like, oh, I hear that you write songs. Do you want to like, I don't know, do you want to like get in the studio here and like try some shit out? I think that it's so important to just be like, yes, you never know. When I met this like weird Swedish dude that was like, I do songs for Community, there was a part of me that was like, nope, not my journey, like does not understand me. Like I want to make rock music. This fool is making like doodly-dop music for like a TV show. Like, I don't know who this fool is. But there was also a big part of me that was like, you know what? I actually don't know. I don't know. Maybe this is like, maybe we'll come up with maybe it'll be awful and then I can just chalk it up to experience. But it could also just be really magical. And I could also make a new friend. And he's really cute. So I was like, sure, I'll like come like show you what I can do. I was like, I'm going to slap the fuck out of my bass and I'm going to make this fool love me. That's literally what I was thinking in my head at the time. And I did. I literally was like, oh, like, no, like, oh. I mean, Jack up a Sturris. Oh, Donna Lee. Oh, yeah, I know it by heart. Weird. So, long story short.
So that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. In my mind, I was like, get me in the room. Like, let me show you what I can do. Let me show you how passionate and motherfucking good I am at playing this goddamn instrument. And so the man that I'm talking about is this guy, Ludwig Göransson, who has gone on to like, he did all the music for Fruitvale Station, and he's such an amazing talent, and like he's doing all the music for Black Panther, and is also like produced all the stuff on the newest Childish Gambino record, which is nominated for like 7 Grammys. Like he's unbelievable. And I didn't know it at the time. I was like, I don't know. So we went in and we ended up showing him like 5 songs that we had written. And we were like, we can't get it right. I don't know what it is, but we know what we want it to sound like in our head, but I don't know how to get it onto tape. And so we spent a lot of time together, and he ended up producing that EP with us. We co-produced it. And then we were like, well, now what do we do with this? Like, how do we promote it? How do we get it out there? Who's going to listen to it? The age-old story. It's like, how do you weed through? Because there's so much music out there. That's the thing. There's so much good music, and there's so much awful music. And when I say awful music, I'm just saying it's not the person's best, but they're putting it out there, and for that I applaud them. But what I'm saying is there's a lot to sift through. There's a lot of stuff out there.
And the craft has to be good in order for people
That's the
to
thing.
know it.
Well, this is the thing. For me, we were always like, I'm not putting anything on the internet that I'm not 1,000% obsessed with. I don't want to put in anything where I'm like, maybe. I want to put out something that I can stand up in front of a crowd and I can be like, no, this is me. This is what I made. This is what I created. And I'm so fucking proud of it that even if someone comes up to me and goes, not your best, I'm like, you're the one that's wrong. So that I have the confidence to be like, I know it's good, so I don't give a fuck about what anyone says. So that's what we did, and we waited. And we ended up putting out, funny enough, I was like in my room. We were supposed to put out the EP, I think, on like the last week of January. And I guess I forgot that January has 31 days or something. And I ended up leaking it a day early. And I get this angry group text from Deanna Alon that was like, did you just fucking leak the EP? And I was like, yeah, it's February 1st. And they were like, there's 31 days in January, dude. You leaked it a day early. And I was like, whatever, like that's not going to be a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. But we did have like a whole rollout planned, and they were just like, like we have to scramble. I ended up just releasing it on Facebook to my friends, because all of my friends were just kind of like, when you've been a band since 2007, you haven't released anything. That's a problem. And so finally I was like, I'm just going to release it to my friends so they can shut up, and I can actually be like, because I was always like, oh, it's in mixing, to like just get them to shut up. That was like the age-old answer. It's in mixing. No, it was just that we didn't know. We would get it back, and we were like, this doesn't sound like how we wanted to, so I'm not going to put it out because I'm not obsessed with it. So we ended up doing that, releasing it, and just, again, we tried to get a residency in LA. The age-old struggle. No one would give us a residency. And again, we weren't like, like that fucking sucks. We made our own residency. We called up our friends and we were like, yo, you're headlining the Echo. You have a residency at the Echo. Can I open? And they were like, yeah, you want to be first of 3 at 7 o'clock? And I was like, done, I'll do it. Fuck it. We actually wanted to weirdly name our band First of 3 for a very long time, because that's literally all we did. 7 o'clock slot every single time. And so for that entire month, we just created our own residency. And that's also a very real thread in our lives, I think, is when you do find a roadblock, you figure out a way to circumvent it. You just do it.
I hope you guys are writing this down. This is just incredible advice.
I understand that I'm also like, I don't even really know if I'm saying things that make sense. So if I'm not making sense, someone needs to like pull the bus cord and be like, I'm getting off here.
Stop, ESTE, stop.
Please stop the bus, I'm getting off. So that pretty much brings us to South by Southwest.
Yes, I want to talk quickly about UCLA because I know we'll be running out of
time.
Oh,
I skipped over it.
We skipped UCLA.
Weird.
We're at UCLA. I was wondering because, we're all students in this room, so we just want to know what you learned here, how you applied it into the music industry, and how that helped you in your career too, because, as students, not many musicians go to school, right?
Yeah, I get that. I think for me, like I said before, when I feel like I don't know something, I feel like I need to make the effort to learn about it. I could have come to UCLA as a jazz major. I played jazz bass my whole life. I wanted to be Jaco Pastorius. That was like my idol when it came to like bass playing. I wanted to be Jaco. I knew every Thelonious Monk song backwards and forwards. And then like Esmeralda Speranza came about, and I was like, oh, I fuck with this girl. Am I saying her name right? Did I say that name right? I haven't listened to her. What?
Spalding?
Esperanza Spalding. I just watched The Hunchback of Notre Dame, so Esmeralda is in the forefront of my mind.
Let's rename
Esperanza
her.
Spalding. Yeah, no, I called her Esmeralda. That's not her name. That's a Disney character. Jesus Christ. Esperanza Spalding. So when she came around, I was like, yes, like she's writing her own music, she's singing, and she's playing stand-up bass. So for a while, I was like, I'm going to be a jazz major. But then when I got the opportunity to audition for UCLA, I was like, I think I'm going to be an ethno major. Also at the time, they were talking about a music industry program.
Right, which exists now, but
Which exists
didn't
now.
exist back
When
then.
I was here, unfortunately, it wasn't necessarily available. They were talking about it. And I still was like, okay, well, I want to do that. I want to be able to learn about indigenous music. And I'm part Bulgarian. So I was like, I want to be able to sing Bulgarian music. I think that that's so cool. And it was music that made the hairs on my arm kind of stand up. And the funny thing is, when I first got here, though, I got in. I was like, I can't believe I got into UCLA. I felt like it was like a weird hack. I was like, me, UCLA? Like, that's crazy. I can't believe I even got into college. And I ended up first day of school in the classroom, and the exercise was like, everyone go around and say kind of who your musical like loves of your life are. Like, who do you aspire to be? Like, what music inspires you? And everyone went around, and it was a lot of classical. It was a lot of jazz. A lot of, Bulgarian music was in there too. Music of Latin America. There was like a smattering. And then they get to me, and then they're like, oh, so what's your name? I'm like, ESTE, HAIM. Nice to meet you. And they're like, so what do you, like, who inspires you? And I was like, Prince, Kate Bush, and the Talking Heads. And it was one of those things where it was like, wiki,
what?
And it was like everyone kind of went, I was in the back of the class, so everyone was like, to like look at me, and I was like, do I smell bad? Like what, or did I say something? Like, what did I say? It didn't make sense to me. And I knew going into it, I was like, I know that I'm going to have a great time here. And I did have an amazing time here, but I didn't necessarily fit in at the beginning. And that was a little scary for me. But I knew also that I wasn't coming here. I was coming here to like make friends and hang out, but I also knew that I was here to learn. And I knew that I was coming here because there were a lot of things I didn't know about music. And so I ended up being a Bulgarian music enthusiast and also a Brazilian drum major. So I was learning carnival music from Brazil, which it didn't even feel like I was at UCLA. I felt like I was at camp. It was so much fun, and it's so physical, and the music is so like infectious, and you can't help but want to move to it. And I just took such a liking to it. And that, to me, going into making our records, I was learning rhythms that my sisters had never been exposed to. So I would bring, I'd bring Oludum or Iliaye to my sisters, and I'd be like, we should do a song with this drum beat. And they'd be like, holy fuck, where did this come from? And it inspired a lot of the songs that we wrote. And not only that, also the harmonies in Bulgarian music are very, very specific. They're very, very close seconds. And learning about that, I was like, what if we did a song that had this? And they would, again, I felt cool because I was like, I know shit that these bitches don't know. I was like, I feel so cool. Like, look what I've learned. Like, and
College
to bring
advantage.
that. Yeah, I was like, I went to college. So coming here, I also, my first year here, I will say I definitely was so focused on just school and getting my credits done and getting as many credits done as possible because I knew that I wanted to do music and learn about it, but I knew that I really wanted to get out there, soak up whatever I could as quickly as possible, and then go off and do it. So I spent my first year with my nose to the grindstone, so much so that Alana, my youngest sister who was 17 at the time, called me my last quarter of my first year and was like, I'm going to this party in Westwood. Do you want to go? And I was like, I haven't been to a party in Westwood yet. Why is my little sister inviting me to my first party at UCLA? And she was like, you're coming. And Alana was the first one. It was the first party I'd ever been to at UCLA. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I feel like I need to like explore all that UCLA has to offer a little bit more. I took that as a life lesson. So the next year, I applied to be in CEC, concert committee. Woo, anyone from CEC here? Stop it. Really? How fun is it?
Well, we got her
Stop
first.
it. Wait, we'll talk about this afterwards. Fuck yeah! Wait, that is such news to me. Well, you know we've already played here, by the way. Yeah, well, not since you. But we played UCLA.
ESTE.
What?
I don't want to keep you longer, but I know we're running out of time.
Oh shit.
So that's it.
We're like not
Just
even.
stick around.
Fuck.
Stick around, but
We will talk. I don't even know where the fuck was I.
I mean, we've kind of run out of time.
We've already run out of time?
Yes.
You
but
guys.
you know, we have some questions from students, so we want to do that
shit.
before.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Because it's been very interesting.
I
It's
talk
just-
a lot. I'm sorry.
I mean, we've been learning a lot.
I hope you
so
guys
it's-
learned. If anything, all I want you guys to know is that all you need to do is see it and believe it and never give up on it. That's the only thing that I can give you. And work at your craft like it's going out of style. 10,000 hours, do 50,000 hours. We've all read, we've all read the book. We've all read Outliers, I hope. 10,000 hours is great. I think it's more like 30,000. I think that also us as women, we can fucking do anything. We're capable of so much more even than we're capable of dreaming. The sun, shoot for the sun, get to the moon, shoot for galaxies farther away than we even know. And I have to believe that if we keep doing that, it's going to be something that people won't even believe in the next 10 years. All we can do, A, is support each other and band together. Everyone in here, every woman here needs to find 3 other women, exchange numbers, do something together. Support each other, talk about what you want to do, talk about the music you want to make, talk about the project that you want to do. Anything is fucking possible. Anything. I'm lucky, I'm privileged that I am related to 2 amazing women that also feel the same way that I am. But if you don't have sisters, talk to one another, support one another. It's so, I feel like I'm going to break this microphone. It's so important. And I'm lucky enough that I get to surround myself with such amazing, passionate, irreverent, magical women. I have the privilege of that. This room is the same thing. And that's all I'm going to say.
Preach it. Round of applause, guys. A round of applause. Thank you. So
I'm going to try not to cry.
I think we have time for 2 quick questions. So where is Cameron? Cameron Carr?
Hi, Cameron.
So what impact do you hope that your music has on its listeners, and how do you work towards achieving that impact?
I think I touched on it a little bit. I think that my sisters and I, we are musicians, but I think that we're also storytellers. I think we think of ourselves first and foremost as songwriters. I think that as an impact, I think I want to inspire, I just want to specifically inspire women to also be honest. People in general, just be honest and stand up for yourself. Never stop believing in yourself. You have to be your own PR. You have to be your own cheerleader. And I think that's what I want to instill in people. I went through a very, very, very difficult time when I was 14. For almost all of high school, I didn't believe in myself. I don't know if a lot of you know, but I'm a diabetic, and I was diagnosed at 14. And I think that the only reason that I got through being diabetic was listening to emo music. it made me feel like it was okay to be emotional. Specifically this band called Say Anything. I don't know if you guys know about this band. But Say Anything and a whole host of just music, I think, was such an easy thing to grasp upon for me. And it helped me through everything that I was feeling. And I was like, it's okay for me to feel this way. And I think that music makes you think that, or it helps you through the really, really shitty times, but also makes you dance and have a great time and go out with your girlfriends and have a fucking amazing night and hold hands and dance. And, you know, that's the great thing about music, is it kind of runs the gamut. It helps you through and, you know, is the vehicle for having a good time too. So I think if I can make people either get through something difficult in their lives or help them get ready for a night on the town or like have a good time on a road trip, I think that that's all I really want. I want people to feel like and I also want people to feel like they're also not alone. I think that's another thing that music gave me, is I was like, oh, I'm not alone in feeling this way. So that's what I hope for.
Beautiful.
And then last question from Nicole. Where's Nicole?
Hi, Nicole.
I know you talked a lot about like the obstacles that you face as a woman in the music industry.
Sure.
But if you could like pinpoint one that you think is like really big and like a privilege that you also think that you face, like touring with your sisters or like just being like a woman in the industry in particular. Also, I love you.
Oh, I love you too. I think that my privilege obviously is the fact that I have these two magical, strong, majestic women that I get to call my sisters. I'm going to start crying. Oh my God. I'm really lucky that I have them. They bring the best out of me and they inspire me to be the best musician and the best human being that I can be. So I'm really lucky that I have them. Being a woman in the industry can sometimes feel very scary. So I'm lucky that anytime I feel that way, they're my fortress and they shield me from a lot of the things that I'm feeling. But I think sometimes it's hard, especially as a woman in rock music, to have your voice be heard. But that by no means means that my sisters and I are ever going to stop making music and ever stop beating down that door. I think there needs to be more women in rock music. I think that it's sometimes it gets a little daunting and a little scary, but we don't let that infiltrate who we are as artists and as musicians. And I think that that's the most important, is to always feel, again, you need to surround yourself with really strong women, really strong people that are like-minded, people that want to do the same things that you want to do. And finding those people isn't the easiest, but once you do, you hold on to them. I'm lucky enough I'm related to two of them, like I said. But yeah, I think that that's the privilege that I have. I'm really lucky. And I am so grateful. And every day I wake up and one of the first things I say is, I'm so lucky I have Danielle and Alana. Because they're so magical and so great and so strong and so sweet to me. And they're my biggest cheerleader. So I didn't think I was going to cry, guys. But it's emotional. And you know what? It's also okay to be emotional. That's one thing that I've learned. We wouldn't be artists if we weren't sensitive about our shit. And I'm sensitive.
Yeah, round of applause, you guys. Well, ESTE, thank you so much for coming today, and
thank you guys.
So open and helping us. I think you really inspired everyone, and it's really hard for us as students to know how to make it, but we really appreciate you being here and being so open and vulnerable. So thank you so much.
Anytime, guys.
We love it. Thank you. Thank you. So, before finishing, one of our traditions is that we have the artist sign the board. So, ESTE HAIM.
I will sign the
board.
board.
Will you sign the office hours board?
Yes, I will sign the board. And I'm gonna stick around, so if you guys want to like hang and talk, I'm here. Where
You
did
can pick-
ASAP sign?
So ASAP signed over the title,
That motherfucker.
and then Cascade there, Machine Gun Kelly. You can sign anywhere. I'd appreciate it if it's not over the title,
I won't.
but wherever you want.
Okay. Oh wow. Little dry, David. Get this shit.
Those damn interns.
All right. I'm so good at this, guys. I've obviously done this before. Am I flashing everyone right now? You guys, full disclosure, I just moved. All my shit's in boxes. This is the first thing I grabbed. So, you're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Round of applause, you guys. Thank you very much. ESTE, thank you once more.
Didn't let you talk. I'm sorry.
That
I
was-
literally didn't let you talk.
That was the easiest moderating job ever, so it's good. We'll make it happen. Thank you guys once more. Round of applause for ESTE. Thank you. Very good.